Hi everyone, this is a short demo video for your final exam and I will split it into 3 parts. In the first part, I will show you guys how you should prepare your folders and files before you start the exam. In the second part, I will show you guys how you should download all the necessary PDF files and Python scaffold files during the exam. And in the last part, I will show you guys how you can correctly upload all the required files at the end of your exam. So let's get started. Now in this demo, I will be using the trial exam as an example. Before we start the exam, I would suggest you guys to create a folder to store all of the files that you will need to upload at the end. So what I will do is in my downloads folder, I will create a new folder called exam upload. So exam upload, like this. Now that you've created this folder, what I would suggest you to do is open up this folder in the editor that you are going to use during the exam. So for this demo, I will be using Visual Studio Code. So I will just drag this folder and open it up in Visual Studio Code like this. Okay, so you can see that we opened the exam upload folder in the editor. Now the next thing I would suggest you to do is create a new plain text file for our short answer questions. Okay, so new file sa.txt, like that. You can name it whatever you want. After we've created this file for our short answer questions, I would suggest you to label the questions that we will need to answer. So in the final exam, we will have 9 short answer questions. So maybe you will just want to label it from Q1 to Q9. Now in the trial exam, there's only 3 short answer questions. So I will just label Q1 to Q3. The last preparation step I would recommend you to do is turn on autosave for your editor so you don't have to manually save changes to your files. So go into settings and tick autosave. This should be a similar procedure in different editors. After we have done all these preparations, we can now move on to the second part of the demo video. I will now go into student view. Before we start the trial exam, I just want you guys to note that the trial exam does not have a timer, so it will not close automatically. But your final exam will close automatically once the time is up. So I really suggest you to time yourself for 40 minutes when you do the trial exam and make sure you can upload all of the required files before your timer runs out. Now let's start the trial exam. So click into this assignment link. Once you click into it, you'll see there's a lot of information here. Now there won't be all of this in the final exam. You will only see the second part. So it will tell you what you will need to download and what you will need to upload. The only thing I want to emphasize here is that you should remember that if your program that you uploaded cannot execute, so if it fails to compile, then there will be a 5% deduction of marks on that question. Now this information will not be shown in the final exam, but it will be applied when we mark your submissions. Okay, so let's get started with the trial exam. So in the second part, it says, please download your exam paper here and follow the instructions. In response to the exam, you will need to upload 3 documents. 1 PDF Word document for short answer questions, 1 Python file for program part 1, and another Python file for program part 2. Now in the final exam, you will need to upload 1 file for the short answer questions and 4 other files for the programming questions. I know it says PDF or Word document here, but actually there is no restriction on the file type that you will upload. So you can still use the plain text file that we prepared before the exam, and I think this is the easiest way to save time during the actual exam. Now let's download this instruction file. So click on the download icon. And we have downloaded the file into our downloads folder. On my computer, it will automatically open up a downloaded file with my PDF viewer. You will see that in this document, you have the short answer questions that you will need to answer. And down here, you will see the programming questions that you will need to answer. You will need to download separate PDF files and Python scaffold files for you to complete your code in. Now, I will just pretend to answer the short answer questions. So the constructor does something, something, something. Now, if you turn on autosave, then you don't need to worry about it. The changes will be saved automatically. If you haven't, you will need to manually click Control S or Command S on your computer. Now, just say we've answered all of the short answer questions, and we need to move on to the programming questions now. What we will need to do next is click on the PDF file first, because this file is going to contain all the programming descriptions. And it will bring us to this new page here. What you will need to do now is click this download link so we can download this PDF file onto our own computer. Okay, so now you see that the programming description file is downloaded into my downloads folder, and it is opened up in my PDF viewer as well. So this file will contain all the description for each of the programming questions that you will need to do. In the trial exam, we have two parts that we will need to do. So part 1, and here is part 2. For each of part 1 and part 2, we will need to download a separate Python scaffold file to complete the question. Where do we download the scaffold file from? Well, you need to go back to the exam PDF file and click on the links separately. So this is for part 1. It will bring you to another page for you to download the Python file. So click on this download link, and it will ask me where I want to download this programming file to. And because I need to later upload this Python file, so I will put it into my exam upload folder and save it. Now let's also download the second file as well. So the second Python file is for part 2, add matrix. It will bring me to a separate download page. And again, I just click on the download link, and it will ask me where I want to download my addmatrix.py file, and I'll just choose exam upload again. Okay, now that we have downloaded these files, in the text editor, you can see that we have 2 extra Python files, addmatrix and parsematrix.py. So now we can go back to our programming PDF, which will tell us what we need to do for each of these questions. So part 1, we will need to complete the parsematrix.py file. Part 2, we will need to complete the addmatrix.py file. Let's just pretend to finish the programming questions. I will just say file name equals to sys.argv1. Okay, again, this is auto-saved, and just pretend we've completed add matrix as well. Let's scroll down and just return a list maybe. Let's create a new list. The next thing we will need to do is upload all of our files together as our submission. Now let's check what we need to upload. So we need to upload one file for our short answer questions. And then we need to upload the 2 Python files as our programming questions. We need to go back to Canvas and go into the exam page. Now, because I've already submitted as a test submission, so all I need to do is just click this try again to allow the submission Dropbox to show up. In the exam, you will have unlimited attempts to submit your files, but you have to remember to upload all files together at the same time. So what you will need to do here is now, from the exam upload folder, select all 3 files and then drag them into the upload Dropbox. Now, once all files are loaded, all you need to do is click the Submit Assignment. Then you can check your submission by clicking on each of these individual files and see if you have submitted correctly. Once the exam finishes, you will no longer have access to this page anymore. So this is all 3 parts of the demo video. I hope you guys found it helpful. Now, don't hesitate to ask any questions during your tutorials or on air, and good luck with your final exam.